Hello.
Andy?
Recording is on.
I know how
Whoa, your
long.
new house looks amazing.
I know, isn't it great? It's even got a basement.
Whoa.
I was wondering if anybody would recognize the background.
Let me see here. No, I don't recognize it.
From a movie.
Looks really expensive.
I I was like,
From a movie
oh,
where there's a basement. Or
not the Home Alone house. I don't know.
way too modern.
Parasite?
That's it. Yeah, that's Parasite.
Oh.
Yeah. Probably one of the best movies I watched last year, year before. Can't remember when it came out. Such a good movie. Wow, there are a lot of people in here.
Oh my.
Hi, everybody. Shall we wait a little longer or should we get going? Do I have everyone I need that is presenting something today?
Tommy, you want to play rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
Gonna say
Do you guys,
roll a two-sided die.
Dave, do you know if Abram was going to join the call?
He should
Yes.
be. He said he was going to present. I can ping him.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick, stall for time.
All right, rock, paper, scissors, guys. Or did you already do it?
I can do it. Oh, okay.
This is gonna be so out of sync.
How's this gonna work?
1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Oh,
Wait, does that mean I have to do it? Or I don't have to do it?
I think it's your choice.
Oh, okay. I can drive it, Tommy, and then you can provide the color commentary. How's that sound?
that sounds good.
I think we've got everybody that is demoing something on the call, so we can go ahead and get started. Lots of people on the call today, so thank you everyone for joining. This is the PWA Studio Community Sync meeting. I wanted to start off and say this is great. I'm so glad that there are so many people that have joined. We are discussing internally changing this meeting from a every week to a bi-weekly cadence. So I'll share a little bit more on that after all the demos and stuff. But we have a good lineup today. We're going to go through some performance epic results that'll be shared, I believe, by Andy with the commentary by Tommy. Then after that, we have a product recommendations demo from Abram, who has joined the call, I think. Can I see him?
Yep.
He's in here, yep.
I'm here.
And hi, Abram. And then we have a preview of the upcoming 10.0 release from James Kalkerman. And after that, yeah, I'll follow up and finish with discussing this new idea that we're going to try out with the cadence of the meeting. So without further ado, Andy, you want to take it away?
Sure can. I'll share my screen here. All right. So every now and then, we don't have a exact cadence for this, but we measure our performance primarily using Lighthouse, and that is a bit of a moving target. In fact, they update their scores and their metrics and all that stuff all the time. So it's one of those things that we've talked about before, but will kind of be a recurring task as we go along to, tweak the performance and improve the performance of the Venia demo storefront. So let's see. I will get into, so we use trio.sh, which kind of uses Lighthouse under the hood and some other things as well, to measure the difference between the latest develop, which is, at the time of this writing, we had just cut the 10.0 release branch. So this is basically what's going out in 10.0 versus the latest master, which was the last release, 9.0.1. And the reason we didn't compare against, just a quick note, the reason we didn't compare against Venio.magento.com is because that one is on Cloud Pro, which has all kinds of performance improvements baked in that are not us. So we wanted like kind of an apples to apples comparison. So these are both running Upward.js, and it's a good comparison between those two things. So some of the metrics that trio.sh will collect, some of these probably look familiar to you, or at least you've heard of them or seen them. I won't go through all of them, but here's kind of a table of these metrics that we'll be looking at. So I'll kind of keep that up at the top, and you can refer to that as we go. But there were three main pages that we wanted to look at, three comparisons we wanted to make. And you can see them here, the home page, the category page, and the product page. So this is just the first load of those pages. Trio.sh does do kind of every hour, it'll take a measurement and update, and it actually gives you like a nice looking history and chart and all that stuff. This is just one run of it, so it didn't take like 100 runs and average them or anything like that. So a little caveat there, but we can still see the general trend of things as a result of this performance epic. So just jumping in on the home page, we saw some improvements across the board. The largest contentful paint, time to interactive went down. So some of these, obviously, you want the numbers to go up. Some of them you want to go down, but I kind of just bucketed those into improvements and decreases and stuff. So we can see kind of four improvements, four metrics went the positive direction on the home page. One of them did actually go down, the total blocking time, but kind of the trade-offs of things, I guess. So let's see. We jump to the category page here. This one was a little more even in terms of, like we mentioned, trade-offs. Some things improved, some things didn't improve, but even the ones that went down, I think the total blocking time was really the only one that was a significant decrease. The other ones were pretty close anyway. And then the product page was actually our big winner. Almost across the board, the product page greatly improved, and there weren't any metrics that went the wrong way on the product page. So I kind of wanted to highlight some of the actual work that happened in this epic, and a shout out to Tommy, who really drove a lot of this effort. So, and Raywanth actually, we upgraded to Workbox, we upgraded React. We upgraded to Workbox v6, we upgraded React. I think that actually also included an upgrade to Informed, the form library that we use. Enabled text compression, a lot of JavaScript bundling stuff. I think, Steven, you did that work. So those are the kinds of improvements that went in to this epic. And then, yeah, here are the results of the difference between 9.0.1, our latest release, and the upcoming 10.0 release. That's really all I had on this topic. Did I miss anything, Tommy?
No, I don't think there's anything I could add there besides like just more explanation, and like the decreases in total blocking time could easily be accounted to like latency. The backend that we have hooked up here, I think, is on like a cloud starter. And it's also used in a lot of different environments. So anything could have been going on while these tests were running. So it is a good idea to go and like try to average these out before you kind of take them for what they are. But yeah, the big things are just we fix things that we can control. So those are the things like render blocking, and the big thing that's going to be coming to further improve these scores are going to be things around like cumulative layout shifts, so like app skeletons and things like that. With the nature of page builder, where we don't know kind of the shape of the content that we're about to render, it's a little difficult to kind of do stuff like that. So that's why you also see the home page is a bit, a lot worse compared to category and product pages because of the page builder content. But yeah, there'll be fun stuff there with like app skeletons, and then SSR is really like the kind of cheating way to to get your performance to like millisecond response time. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff will be coming. This will just be an ongoing thing that you'll likely see from us in every release, us keeping the pulse on Lighthouse scores.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Tommy. I was wondering if do we have plans to publish this as like part of our README? Have a little like button like we have for build status, or are we just gonna maintain an internal Jira doc?
That's a good question. We had web page test built into our automation flow, and with those random issues and latency, it kind of just became something that we ignored. But maybe we can see if we can get to something more stable in our measurements, and that could be something that we could throw a badge on the repo or something, so you can see like live how we're measuring it.
Well, this is awesome. Thanks for sharing, Andy. Did anyone in the community have some questions for these guys before we go on to the next demo?
Quick point I would like to add to that is with the new PAT epic that's going to come up soon, everyone can actually see the Lighthouse scores, the performance degradation or performance benefits for each PR. Like they can look at after each commit, how did the performance change? Did the Lighthouse scores change? Did they go up or down? They can look at all the details. But that's going to take a while, but that's in the backlog.
Thanks for sharing, Rafan. Right.
All right, cool. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. If we don't have any more questions there, let's go to Abram with his P-Rex demo.
Sure. Hi, guys. My name's Abram. I'm an engineer on the product recommendations team. I have worked together with the PWA team to build an extension along with James Delory for PWA Studio to enable product recommendations powered by Adobe Sensei for PWA Studio. I'm going to demo that now. If you're not familiar with product recommendations, I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview, kind of show you what it looks like, what it does. This is what it kind of looks like in the admin panel. If you go to, this is our test QA cloud instance and marketing. You can go to product recommendations. Merchants will see this kind of table. They can create recommendations. They can view their recommendations. Right here, there's actually supposed to be like, metrics on what's going on with the recommendations. This is our cloud instance or our QA environment, so I don't have any right now. It's really cool. It's really desirable. We get a lot of feedback from it, and it's definitely something we're prioritizing, bringing to all kinds of Magento storefronts. Recommendations are highly configurable. You can choose different kind of algorithms. You can put them on different kind of pages, and yeah, it's a really fun feature. I really enjoy being part of this team. Recommendations kind of look like this on PWA Studio. I kind of threw this random title. It can be anything you want, and they can show up anywhere you want. I'm going to kind of show you guys a little bit of the code and how to use. First I should kind of tell you guys, we have a doc site. I should have prepared that. I apologize. We have a doc site that you guys can reference to. Let me see if I can bring it up super fast. I apologize, I didn't prepare that. No, I don't have the link. So I'll try to grab it by the end in the Blue Jeans chat.
Yeah, Abram, if you want to share it later, we can put it in the community Slack as a follow-up.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely do that. Save you guys some time. But we have docs up already, and if you guys have any comments or questions about the docs, we made them yesterday, so please give us feedback. But let's jump into the code. You can install it straight into PWA Studio as an installation. This is our index.js. This is what we export. We export a component called Venia product recommendations. We export a object that's basically an enum with 6 different page types, and then also a custom React hook called useRexData. Our component will fetch, apply data tracking functions to all rendered recommendations and render product recommendations. It comes with a pre-configured template. It uses the gallery component from Venia UI and the gallery item, and you can pass classes and adjust and customize any sort of CSS you would like. Here, you can also fetch recommendations directly if you'd like using our custom hook useRexData. However, all rendering and applying data tracking functions is kind of on your own onus, and we will document that with time. Currently, our docs site doesn't have that. Let me show you guys kind of how I've been doing it locally. Is just an example is that you can go to your cms.js, import it like so, and you can throw it somewhere in your JSX, and it will render with very little to no effort. It does require the page type to be declared as a prop, and it'll give you some warnings if there's no page type, but it works pretty auto-magically, and that is literally the code that is making this show up. Some features that we're looking to releasing in these next few weeks. Ideally, I should have said it, been more explicit. I apologize. We don't expect y'all to go into your cms.js and throw that line there. Rather, we would expect a storefront to use a local intercept and inject JSX in. So we're going to provide a default local intercept in our documentation. Additionally, we will provide page placement in the admin. You can see here there's different, maybe not here, but as you create recommendations, you can have different page placements at the top of main content, at the bottom. We'll provide support with that in PWA Studio very soon. With this release, we do not have page builder support, but we're looking, that's probably our number one requested feature is to create some page builder support. We'll definitely do that very soon. And kind of as a middle ground between fetching recommendations, using that useRexData custom hook and providing a default template, rather we'll provide a component that you pass a function that returns JSX, and we'll render that JSX for you and apply and provide some props that you can put into your JSX. So it'll fetch recommendations and apply those data tracking functions for you and anything else you ask for. Maybe that's a dangerous statement to make, but I'm going to go on a limb and say I'll address concerns and comments and PRs. Currently, it is open source, but I didn't get it onto the open sourced org on GitHub, so I'll repent and do that very quickly in these next few days, and I'll send out a link for that repo. Do you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, feelings that you want to share?
I think it looks great. I think it's awesome. I've been seeing a lot of the questions that you've had over the last several weeks, months, and it's cool to see the end product, being demoed. I must have missed it this morning in the internal demo because there was a link, but this looks really good.
Thanks.
I have a quick question. The product recommendation requests, are they being made through GraphQL or is it using the JavaScript SDK?
I believe by JavaScript SDK, do you mean the recommendations JS SDK that we use for Magento 2 server-side rendered product recommendations? Is that what
right? There's a SDK to build the profile, but how how is the UI requesting the actual data that it's going to use?
The UI is not using GraphQL. It's using the SDK that we created. So it's hitting a RESTful endpoint that is on our roadmap to create a GraphQL API.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that you're not the first person to ask, so that I believe that is higher in the priority, but I would have to double check. If I can get back to you if you'd like. As kind of like a side note, this is in addition to product recommendations, we have made something called the Magento Storefront Events SDK. It is a data layer. It's a wrapper around the Adobe Client data layer that hooks into, through this extension we've made, it hooks into a lot of the PWA Studio like events, and we're publishing events on that data layer. Events right now aren't a first-class citizen in PWA Studio, so if you tap into that data layer, you can get events such as add to cart, page view, product page view, and there's all sorts of context involved in that as well. I'm not the tech lead on that, but if you have more questions, feel free to ping me or Misha Kotov in the PWA community Slack.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Abram. Were there any other questions for him? All right. Yeah, that was awesome. I'm really excited to see it.
Letting me show off our product. But yeah, I'm excited to be with you guys in PWA. I love PWA stuff. So hit me up on Slack if you guys have any questions.
Yeah. And then send me that link or post it in the PWA community channel for the docs and for the open source repo whenever it's published.
Sure thing. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We have a preview of the upcoming release from James Kalkman.
Yep, that's me. Let me share my screen. All right, so as you may know, we have a release coming up next week, 10.0. Release notes, you can take a look at a preview of this PR 3067. You just need to go view this file, your render view. Okay, so release 10.0, what's in it? First up is the build report tool. This was a feature developed by Stephen himself during a hackathon event. It basically produces information about your development environment to help us, or to help you provide information to anyone that can debug issues about your setup. Is there anything you need to add, Stephen, about?
Yeah, real quick. Thanks for the shout out. Actually, I started the work during a hackathon, and Ravant took it across the finish line for me after hackathon. So kudos to him for that. The intent of this tool, it's actually live now. The intent was that you could, well, I guess it will officially be out in 10, but the goal is that people would run this tool if they have an issue with their local environment and they need help. It just helps collect some information that we asked for already in the bug template, but that might be hard to identify or tedious to identify. So, if you run this yarn build report command in your scaffolded app, it'll generate this output, and you can just copy and paste this into your GitHub issue when you find a bug and you need help with something. It'll just help us debug some stuff.
Yeah, that'll definitely help us out. Up next is the check your money order payments feature. This was developed by Lars himself. It basically adds a new payment option, the check or money order. It's created as an extension, and you can take a look at the source code here. It's part of the repository. You can take a look at how he did it using the targetables framework. Lars, is there anything you want to add to this? Dion? No? All right.
Might have had to go.
Okay.
But he did demo. I want to say he demoed this last week. So if you missed that demo, check out the recording. It should be in the public Slack or on YouTube. Don't have a link to that channel, but you can see.
Look in the archives.
Yeah.
Next up is a custom scaffolding template. I believe this was created by Ravance. It basically lets you specify, instead of the default Venia concept template, you can specify a specific version to scaffold your new project. And I think you can use this now. Ravance, correct me if I'm wrong.
If you have the latest alpha versions, you can, not in the 9.0 version.
Yeah, you have to specify the alpha, right, when you're scaffolding.
Yeah, that's because we're using the alpha version, but once 10.0 is out, they can simply do yarn create, and this would show up.
Yeah. If you have any questions, go ahead.
A quick thing about this is you can use any custom starter as well, not just Venia concept. Like if you have like a custom bootstrap code of your own, you can mention that as well. In this case, where we only happen to have Venia concept, I happen to use it, and then you can give a version as well.
Yeah, pretty cool. And if you have any questions, Ravance Gmail is right here.
Yeah. That was the only thing. Yeah, should have removed it. Thanks.
All right. Next up is a mega menu component. Marcin, another community member, contributed this feature. It's basically a desktop feature that helps just display categories and subcategories pulled from the back end. Is Marcin on here?
Yeah, I am.
Would you like to speak more about this?
Not exactly. So I'm happy that I see this in new version, and if you have any questions about that, you can ping me on Slack.
Yeah, it looks good. And then next is the store switcher component. This you, Stephen? Share.
Yeah. This one was another feature I implemented. It was the store switcher has already existed. I think we had published it in like 9.0 or maybe 8.0, but this is for store grouping. If you have multiple store groups with multiple views within each group, this will now present them in a way that sort of differentiates those groups. So you can see here, instead of just 4 tabs, it's now specifies which one. And I think we did this because, as you can see here, the store views in this example are English, Spanish, and Spanish. And so if we didn't include the information about that group name, then you would just see English, Spanish, and you wouldn't understand what you were looking at. So yeah, that's all.
Yep. Good stuff. And then, of course, we talked about the improved performance work that we did in this release, and then we also increased our test coverage from the past release up to 85. Our goal is, of course, to get that green badge, which I think is like 90%, but we'll get there. And then we got, of course, the list of pull requests that's in this release, all organized and categorized. If you want to do a deep dive of what exactly went into this release. And then the known issues are the same as the previous release. And I think that's it. This is, of course, still under review, so it's subject to change. But are there any questions? Anything in the chat?
There's a question about the roadmap, but I'm not sure if you'd be able to answer it. Maybe Elena or Dave, if you're on the call. The question is, will the roadmap be updated considering V10? And
yeah, so currently we are working on kind of replanning the next things that we're gonna work on. And based on that, I'm going to apply the changes to the roadmap on GitHub next week. So I'll keep you posted on a community Slack when it's done, so you can see the updates.
Elena. And Matthew, your question about server-side rendering that was supposed to be in 2021, we're in the process of working on that right now. I don't know if Jimmy is on this call, but if he was, he might have more information to share about that. We've heard bits and pieces about it, but know that we are working on it right now internally. There may even be some public stuff that you can check out if there's any spikes or PRs open. Okay, well, I think we're about out of time. I just wanted to wrap up real quick and say thank you again for joining this call. Thanks to everyone who presented today. We're going to change this meeting from every week to a bi-weekly so that we can sort of have a little bit more time to build up content. That way we have valuable meetings that, we're going to take some time off your calendar, so we want to make sure we have content to share. And in place of those meetings, we're going to try out a new thing. It's just starting out, so we might have some stuff to work out, but we're going to try doing office hours. And the way that'll work, we'll use this Blue Jeans meeting or maybe create another one. And if you have questions, feel free to jump in the call and talk to us. We can just be there for about an hour and try to help you work through any issues you might have with PWA Studio, or help answer any questions that you have. There'll usually be one or two internal team members on that call, and we'll try and get your issues resolved. And if we can't, we'll at least try and have it documented, have a warm handoff so we can continue figuring out what we need to do, or if we need to improve any internal docs. So look for that. That'll be next week, will be the first one. If we do get a lot of attendees, we may start doing some like time slots. Jordan had that great idea of doing time slots. We don't know how many people are going to join this meeting. Just bear with us as we get this process going, since we're just starting out. But any feedback on it will also be welcome. So that's about it. Thanks everybody for attending. Have a good week.
Everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. See you.